Ever feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like my entire life runs on these like invisible wires and signals these days.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So we're diving into the world of the people who keep those signals strong today.
Hmm.
Telecommunications technicians.
Right.
Think of this deep dive as your like cheat sheet to this whole career path, whether you're just curious or you're seriously thinking about making a move.
Okay.
We are going deep on RoleCatcher's Telecommunications Technician Career Guide, and we'll even peek at some of the cool features on their platform,
Cool.
because it's not just fixing cables, right?
No, no, not at all. This is like the backbone of how we function as a society these days.
Totally. And RoleCatcher, they actually get into some seriously cool details.
Hmm.
You picture like the stereotypical technician in an office somewhere, but they could be in hospitals, factories, even on top of a mountain setting up a cell tower.
Yeah. Definitely not a desk job all the time.
No, not at all. But here's where it gets really interesting to me, what happens when those systems go down.
Yeah.
Because we rely on them so heavily.
That's when you really see the impact, right? A hospital network crashes, critical equipment's offline,
Oh, gosh.
or emergency services during a hurricane can't communicate.
That's vital stuff.
Huge, huge impact, which is why these technicians are so vital.
Okay, so it's an essential job. Got it.
Yeah.
But what about, like, the day-to-day of it? RoleCatcher gives us the good, the bad, and the unexpected.
Okay.
Good news first, the demand for these skills. Through the roof. Job security is always a good look.
For sure.
And the pay. Not too shabby either, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's something that the guide highlights. The demand is really high for skilled technicians, and it's not just temporary, right? Technology's always advancing, so those skills are just going to become even more valuable.
That's huge, especially if you're just starting out, to know that your skills are in such high demand.
Absolutely.
But then there's the on-call life. RoleCatcher mentions that, and I'm like, how much does that impact your work-life balance? Is being on-call 24/7 the trade-off for job security?
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act, right? That constant need to be available. It's kind of the flip side of job security.
Right.
Another interesting point the guide raises is this need for constant learning. This isn't something you learn once and you're set. Technology changes so rapidly, you're always learning new things.
It's like being back in school, but hopefully with better snacks.
Hopefully, yeah.
Speaking of learning, how do you even become a telecommunications technician? That's where this guide gets really helpful. They break it down.
Yeah, they do a great job.
They break down everything you need to know to get started.
It seems like practical experience is key.
Okay.
They suggest things like internships, apprenticeships, even volunteering to set up sound systems for your local community theater could give you a leg up.
So wait, that time I rewired my friend's sound system for their band. Does that count as relevant experience?
It could, yeah. The key is showing you've got initiative, you're willing to get your hands dirty.
Right, okay.
But it's not just about the practical skills. The guide also talks about certifications.
Right, and they mentioned a few, like CompTIA IA Network, plus Cisco Certified Network Associate, CCNA.
Mm-hmm.
These sound intense. What are those all about?
They're like industry-recognized stamps of approval, right?
Yeah.
The CCNA, for example, that's from Cisco. Huge name in networking equipment. So if you're working with the routers and switches that businesses rely on, that certification shows you know your stuff. You're the
Yeah.
go-to
Wow.
person.
So it's like leveling up your skills in a video game.
Exactly.
But instead of virtual rewards, you get real-world job offers. But instead of virtual rewards, you get real-world job offers.
Exactly.
That's a good trade.
Yeah, it's an investment in yourself and your future earning potential.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of getting that dream job, RoleCatcher's platform, they've got some seriously cool features to help with that.
Oh, yeah.
They've got AI that actually analyzes job descriptions
Bro.
and scores your resume for how well it matches.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So instead of just sending out resumes blindly and hoping for the best, you can see how well your skills actually line up with what employers are looking for.
Exactly.
That takes out so much of the guesswork.
It's like having a secret weapon in the job hunt. Right?
Yeah.
No more wondering if your resume even got seen. You get to see where you stand right away.
Okay, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Like getting instant feedback on your qualifications,
Mm-hmm.
that could be a game changer for anyone feeling lost in the job search process.
For sure. For sure.
But getting back to the guide for a second, they also dive into typical career paths, right?
They do, yeah.
What does that look like for a telecommunications technician?
They break it down really well, from entry-level roles all the way up to, like, senior technician positions,
Okay.
and you can see the skills and experience you'd need to progress at each stage.
Which is super helpful.
Super helpful for planning your career.
Yeah, you know where you're headed.
Exactly. And they even include some real-world examples of what each stage looks like in different work environments, which is neat.
So you can see what your day-to-day might be like a few years down the line.
Exactly, yeah.
That's way more helpful than just like a vague salary range.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of which, does the guide get into salary specifics?
They do.
Okay, good.
They provide salary ranges based on experience level, location, and even specific certifications.
Okay.
So you can get a pretty good idea of your earning potential.
Okay, so we've covered the skills, the certifications, the career path, even the salary expectations.
We're getting in-depth.
Is there anything else this guide doesn't cover?
They even go a step further, actually.
Yeah?
They provide links to professional organizations.
Yeah.
Like the Telecommunications Industry Association, TIA,
Right.
the International Communications Industries Association, ICIA.
Wait, what are those all about?
Networking.
Oh, okay.
It's crucial in any field, right?
Yeah.
And these organizations are like a gold mine for connecting with other professionals, learning about industry trends, maybe even finding a mentor.
So it's like they're not just prepping you for the job. They're plugging you into the entire industry.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, they really have thought of everything.
Yeah, it's impressive.
It's clear they've done their homework and put together a really, incredibly valuable resource for anyone who's even remotely considering this career path.
Absolutely. This guide is a fantastic starting point for anyone looking to break into the world of telecommunications.
Okay, but here's the million-dollar question. How does this all play into the future of the field? We're talking about a world with 5G, AI, the Internet of Things. Things are changing rapidly.
Right, right.
What does that mean for someone considering this career long-term? What does that mean for someone considering this career long-term?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is this a career with staying power?
Right, because no one wants to train for a job that's about to be taken over by robots.
Exactly. And that's where this field gets really interesting.
Okay.
The guide actually touches on this,
Okay.
especially when they talk about AI and automation.
Okay, so what are they saying? Should we be worried?
It's not about being worried. It's about being prepared.
Okay.
Look, the reality is technology is changing the landscape of this field.
Right.
AI can handle some of the more routine tasks,
Okay.
like diagnosing network issues, maybe even doing basic repairs.
Uh-huh.
But
Please tell me there's still a need for actual humans.
absolutely. Okay, good. Here's the thing.
Okay.
As AI takes over those more repetitive tasks,
Right.
it frees up technicians to focus on the complex stuff,
Okay.
the problem solving, the critical thinking, the situations where you need a human brain to assess and adapt.
So it's less about being replaced and more about evolving.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
Imagine a telecommunications technician working on the network for, like, a smart city.
Okay.
That's where the Internet of Things comes into play, right?
Right.
They're not just connecting people anymore. They're connecting sensors, traffic systems, even buildings.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
That level of complexity requires a whole different skill set.
So you're not just installing cable, you're basically wiring the nervous system of an entire city.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
That's intense.
And it's only going to get more complex.
I bet.
5G networks, for example.
Yeah.
Those are about more than just faster download speeds. They're enabling things like remote surgery, self-driving cars.
It's like sci-fi stuff.
Those technologies rely on rock-solid telecommunications infrastructure.
Yeah.
Which means these technicians are going to be on the front lines of some seriously cutting-edge stuff.
Okay, now that is seriously cool.
Yeah.
So even though technology is changing, the core skills, that adaptability, that problem-solving mindset,
Right.
those are only becoming more valuable.
Precisely. And that's something this guide does a great job of highlighting.
Yeah.
The future of this field is less about knowing how to fix a specific piece of equipment,
Right.
and more about being able to learn and adapt as technology evolves.
So if you're someone who loves learning new things, who thrives on challenges, and maybe even gets a little thrill out of troubleshooting tech problems,
Yeah.
this could be the career path for you.
It's not your grandfather's telecommunications world anymore, that's for sure.
No, not at all. We've covered a lot of ground here, from the nitty-gritty of certifications to the mind-blowing future of this field.
The big field.
If you are even remotely intrigued by what we talked about today, I highly recommend checking out RoleCatcher's full guide. It's got even more details, salary info, interview tips.
Yeah, it's really comprehensive.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic resource and a great example of how to really dig into a career path before you take the plunge.
And on that note, I'm going to leave you with this. As 5G, AI, and the Internet of Things become more and more intertwined with our lives, what role do you think telecommunications will play in shaping our future?
Good question.
Something to think about next time you're streaming your favorite show or hopping on a video call, because none of it happens without those invisible signals and the skilled technicians who keep them flowing.